Welcome back to Horn Takes, your Texas football and baseball talk destination. I am Sean Redfern. It is Tuesday. We're getting back into the swing of things after being off for about a week. Excited to be back. Excited to be talking about some college football playoffs for these Texas Longhorns. We did the after action review on the Georgia game yesterday, and I realize, folks, that is like really, really late. You guys have probably all moved on, but I haven't had a chance. I hadn't had a chance to get some closure, so I had to do that for myself. So we did that. Check that episode out if you want. You can pass it if you want to. A few people have looked at it, not as many as normally look, but it's probably just because nobody wants to even remember that even happened again. Today we'll do the deep dive on the Clemson Tigers, both offensively and defensively. We'll have some statistics. We'll have some video analysis. Check us out on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. If you just like to listen to podcasts, you can do that at Apple Podcast, iHeart Podcast, Spotify Podcast, all the podcast places. Or you can go to horntakespodcast.buzzsprout.com. I recommend the YouTube channel, though. Good stuff happening at the YouTube channel. I got to keep figuring out how to grow that and man, I got a ton of followers on TikTok. I got like over 5,000 followers on TikTok. I've got almost 800. I bounce back and forth between about 805 and 795 on Twitter. I don't know what I do to lose followers necessarily. Like I don't feel like my opinions are that controversial. It's probably like the sex bots that I don't follow back. I know I'm like a super attractive man, ladies, but I cannot follow you back like that. I'm there for the sports. All right, folks, let's get into the deep dive on these Clemson Tigers. We'll talk about the offense first. Look, folks, it's a dangerous offense. They'll give you multiple looks from a formation perspective. I don't really think it's that sophisticated of an offense. It's kind of like we're going to find a mismatch and we're going to try to beat you there. So I think for the quarterback, it requires a lot of sort of pre-snap read. I'm sure there's some change ups that the wide receivers use, but depending on the coverage and things like that. But it's not like, I mean, it's not like Bill Walsh's West Coast offense, I don't think. Find the soft spot, attack the soft spot, do it with good athletes. And I haven't studied Clemson a whole lot or watched them play a whole lot this season, so I may be dead wrong about that. Looks like they like that RPO game, and why wouldn't they? Cade Klubnik's pretty athletic. Led offensively by 6'2", 210-pound junior quarterback Cade Klubnik. It's an Austin Westlake grad. I think he won back-to-back state championships at Westlake, and he actually beat Quinn Ewers' South Lake Carroll Dragons in the state championship. I think it was the only time they played each other. Might be wrong about that. I think these guys are the same age. Quinn just left early, reclassed, did not play his senior year. To me, Cade Klubnik's another one of those guys where the offense just kind of runs through him. And I think, we've talked about that a lot. You see more and more, especially college football, where the offense just kind of runs through the quarterback. And I get it. He touches the ball every single play. You you want the guy that's touching the ball every single play to be the catalyst for your offense. I think. I think that's the new thinking. And I don't know, it's really not that new. We saw teams doing it back in the day, back in the 2000s with the zone read. Texas did it a lot. But I think back then, a lot of teams were using guys that weren't very polished passers to do it. And now you got these guys that are polished passers, but are also really good athletes. So yeah, I think you run the offense through a guy like that. Cade Klubnik, 282 completions on 443 attempts this season. That's a 63.7% completion percentage. He's a little over 3,300 yards, 33 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. And he's also got 106 rushes for 458 yards, which is 4.3 yards per carry. He's got 7 touchdowns on the ground. Folks, his gross, before you take out all the sack yardage against him, which most of the time is not the quarterback's fault, his gross is 604 yards on the ground. He's got a long of 55. So Cade Klubnik is a guy that can get loose on you. He can really put a lot of pressure on the defense with his legs. And those are dangerous guys. And it doesn't have to be just extremely, you don't have to be like an extremely athletic dude. We watched Georgia do it last week with their backup quarterback, Stockton. He's not a just uber athletic guy, but he put pressure on the Texas defense with his legs. 6'1", 230-pound senior running back Phil Maffa leads the Tigers on the ground. He has 214 carries for 1,106 yards, 5.2 yards per carry. He's got 8 touchdowns. He's got a long of 83. I don't care. You're not going 83 yards for a touchdown unless you got some speed. You got some athleticism. And to be that big and be able to go 83 yards, you don't want to let that guy get past the front line very much, or your secondary is going to get beat up and thumped up trying to tackle that big dude. 6'1", 230 pounds is a large man coming at you really fast. 5'11", 190-pound sophomore wide receiver Antonio Williams leads Clemson in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He's got 71 catches, 838 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's got a long of 57. He also has 7 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown. So he's one of those kind of he's like your little wide receiver reverse guy. Yeah, I really like 6'2", 180-pound freshman Bryant Wesco. He's out of Texas. And I believe Texas and Clemson were kind of in a battle for him down the stretch last year. I think he might be their most explosive wide receiver. He leads the team in yards per catch. He's 38 catches, 678 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's almost averaging 18 yards per catch. And he's got a long of 76. So he's a guy, he's long, fast, athletic, good hands, dangerous player. Then you got 6'6", 244-pound tight end Jake Brenningstool. He's a weapon in the passing game. 45 catches, 461 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's got a long of 41. So you look at this offense, there's a lot of explosiveness everywhere on this offense. Offensive line's a veteran group. They got 3 juniors, 2 seniors. They're not as big as we've seen in the SEC or that you will see in the SEC, but they're not small. They average 6'5", 311 pounds. They move pretty well, I think. Obviously pretty good to put up the numbers that they put up. But they're not like these I mean, we've been seeing some big offensive lines. We've been seeing some offensive lines that average close to 330 pounds the last few weeks in SEC play. Statistically, they got pretty good team, pretty good offense. They average 454 yards of total offense per game, which is 12th in the country. They're at 274 passing yards per game, which is 17th in the country. 180 rushing yards per game, which is only 43rd. That really surprises me. In today's game, that's so pass happy, to average 180 yards and be the 43rd team in the country. I mean, that's what, top third? which is, I mean, good. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's like at the bottom end of the top third. Scoring offense, 35 points a game. I rounded these. That's 16th in the country. Sacks allowed, 22, 54th in the country. So they're about mid of the pack there, a little bit under mid of the pack. Turnovers lost. They're really good. They don't do it. 9 on the season, which is 9th in the country. Third down offense, they convert at 45.2%, which is 24th in the country. And then in the red zone, they convert into points 87.8%, which is only 40th in the country. So there's a little up, a little down for this offense, but generally speaking, pretty good offense. Dabo Swinney, he's going to stress you vertically. He's going to stress you horizontally. He's going to make you cover both directions of the field, all over the field. And I think, Texas got a really good defense, but I think this will be a pretty good challenge for the Texas defense. Texas defense takes the ball away a ton. They lead the country, 28 takeaways. Who flips that? Let's check a little tape on this Clemson offense. I'm going to show you one running play. I think this is kind of what the running plays are. They don't do a whole lot in the running game. You're going to see, and they certainly didn't against SMU that I saw. You're going to see some jet motion. They're sitting there in a little H-back set right there. You're going to see some jet motion to try to influence the backers, try to influence any safeties that are in run support. And then you're going to see the same little H-back cross action that you see with Texas. I've showed you this multiple times so far this season, where you just kind of seal off the back end, create that cutback lane. It's going to be zone blocking. And here we go. This play does not work. I want you to watch the SMU nose tackle or that. I guess he looks like a inside 2 or a 1 technique just over the center, just to the top of the screen from the center. He absolutely blows this shit up. It's beautiful. But zone blocking scheme, get that big 230-pound guy going. But man, that SMU defensive tackle blew that up. So I don't think Clemson has seen the kind of size and athleticism that they're going to see with this Texas defense, probably since that Georgia game that they played at the very beginning of the season. So I think we might see a lot of that. It'll be an interesting matchup. We talked about the offense running through Klubnik. Clemson's going to get a man look here with pressure. This is a really good read by Klubnik. There was a linebacker sitting kind of right there near the logo right there in the middle of the field, but you see that man look across the board. You're going to see this inside guy. He's just going to clear out down the seam, right down the hash. And then that outside receiver is just going to run a quick slant. And Klubnik does a really good job of recognizing, okay, pressure came from here. That's where the ball has to go. If you're getting pressure, you need the ball to go where the pressure came from because that's where there's a hole in the field. And that's exactly what Klubnik does. And he throws a really perfect pass for a really big gain. Klubnik kind of has a weird throwing motion. He doesn't come back and throw. He like winds up over the top and throws. It's almost like a highlight. I don't know if you call them pitchers or throwers or if anybody knows what you call the guy in highlight that throws the ball, zooms the ball with the little. I don't know. I don't even know what the thing is he holds. But that's what Klubnik's motion reminds me of. Here you're gonna have. This is a really cool play. This is a cool play for multiple reasons. Let me pause it here. Look at this SMU defensive alignment. You got 2 guys at the top in a man look, and then you got everybody else on the line of scrimmage minus 1 guy sitting back here, and that's the cornerback right there just to the west of the 40-yard line there. There right over the center, that's the free safety. So what looks like is a big time man look, and they're bringing everybody, close to everybody. But what actually happens at the snap is they kind of bail into like a cover 3 robber look, I think. You'll see the cornerback at the top of the screen really bail. You'll see that safety on the inside of him kind of just roll out into the flat a little further, like trying to take away any of the short throws. Because what they're trying to do is bait Klubnik into seeing man and throw some kind of little quick hitter that they'll just pick off. If you remember, Georgia did the same thing to Quinn Ewers in the first game and picked him off. Same kind of look. But what they're asking this safety to do is to really haul ass from the line of scrimmage way deep. So they bail into this cover 3 look. Both those wide receivers go, well, yeah, they both go vertical, which I don't think SMU expected them to do. I think SMU expected in that man look that they would get a short route that they could jump. But they both go vertical, and Klubnik's going to throw a really, really nice ball in between that cornerback that's bailing into cover 3 and that safety that's trying to get back. Watch this play. Watch this throw. Perfect. Drops it in there, breaks the tackle, gets down the field for a touchdown. So Klubnik is really good at really nice touch there. Really, really nice. I mean, right on the money pass. Guy didn't have to slow down, speed up, or anything. Just hit him right in stride. Klubnik's a threat to run. Watch this nice little RPO here. I mean, he really sells it too. And I think he probably was going to run, and then he held up right here and just said, uh-oh, that guy's wide open. Easy touchdown. So the Texas secondary going to have to – Texas secondary is pretty aggressive. Everybody's going to have to stay at home. Right here, we're going to get a quick motion. You don't get to see a lot of it because of this part, but I'll pause it. Number 9 right there on the 10-yard line or right at the 10-yard line. He went a motion across the formation right at the Twins. He's just going to turn around right at the Twins. We saw this same design with Kentucky. We talked about it. It was a really cool design. Like you run this guy in motion, and once he gets right behind those wide receivers on the line of scrimmage, he just turns around. It makes the blocks really easy. You don't have to go get anybody. The defender's coming to you to try to get to him. And they just toss it out. Nice little quick screen pass for a really easy red zone touchdown. So I like the design. I like the play call. I really like that. I'm going to pay attention to when we run our quick screens, if we have that same sort of alignment when the ball's delivered. So this Clemson offense can stretch you all different ways, vertically, sideways. Klubnik can get you on the RPO, but they're really susceptible to the sack. Watch here the SMU defensive end at the top of the screen. He's just going to rush right by the Clemson left tackle. And then I want you to notice the entire defensive line. We talked about this a lot during the A&M game. Needing to, like, squeeze the pocket. It's not just about getting pressure. You all got to get pressure almost at the same rate and just squeeze the pocket in around the quarterback so he has nowhere to go. Watch how good of a job SMU does right here. And this is something Texas did an outstanding job against Texas A&M with. They just squeeze him down, and basically all 4 of them are there to make a sack at the same time. Right here, the same thing. You're going to see 4. They're all just going to squeeze that pocket. They got it around him a little bit. We miss a face mask there. They got away with it, but they're able to get to Klubnik, pull him down for a sack. I don't know how they didn't throw a face mask penalty on that play, but there was a view from behind the offense that shows an official, and I just got to tell you guys this because y'all know how I like to bag on officials. Showed an official looking right at it. Just didn't call it. And there's no possible way he could have missed it. I don't know. But again, that offensive line, you can get some pressure on them. Final thoughts on this Clemson offense. I really, really like the Texas defensive line against this Clemson O-line in a matchup. I said it earlier. I don't think they've seen. I don't think they have seen the type of size, speed, quickness combination, strength combination that they're going to see out of Texas since week 1 against Georgia. Georgia absolutely dominated this Clemson team. I know the transitive property doesn't work. I'm not trying to apply it. But I think if you, again, football's a game of winning in the trenches. You win in the trenches more, you win games. This Clemson passing game pretty good. They can play that quick game. They can play the ball down the field vertically, get it out sideways. They got really talented wide receivers. I like Klubnik. I think he's really accurate. He's one of those gamer types. He's athletic. He's a threat to put pressure on you with his legs. So that Texas pass rush going to have to maintain rushing lanes and do a good job of collapsing that pocket around him, kind of in unison. And I think that Texas secondary, you're going to need to make sure they don't get bit by that RPO game. If you see Klubnik running, it doesn't mean he's always running. Dabo Swinney, one of the more creative guys in college football from an offensive perspective. He loves the guys that can run around with the ball, and he's done well with them. Let's talk about this Clemson defense. This Clemson defense, man, has some really good players on it. I'm surprised defensively their stats aren't better. I think, though, like just looking at it and watching them play, this SMU game aside, SMU was able to have some pretty good success against them. But I think this Clemson defense is got some stats that don't look so pretty because I think they're real big on bend but don't break. To me, they remind me a lot of like how the Texas defense was last year. They give up a lot of stuff in between the 20s and then just kind of clamp down from there. I feel like maybe, and again, I haven't watched them play a ton this year. At least what I saw against SMU, they're really multiple on defense. They'll man up, they'll bring pressure, they'll drop into zones, they'll protect the sticks. Something I haven't seen in forever. They actually played 3 true linebackers against SMU. Quite a bit. Not all the time, but quite a bit. I can't remember the last time I saw that. When is the last time you remember seeing 3 true linebackers on the field at the same time in a college football game? The nickel has just become so. I mean, I guess that 3-3 stack, but even that 3-3 stack, those outside guys are hybrid guys. I mean, I wouldn't call them. They're not really linebackers. These dudes are actually linebackers. Speaking of linebackers, they're led by 6'1", 230-pound senior linebacker Barrett Carter. Second on the team in tackles with 78. Leads the team in tackles for loss with 10.5. Sorry, he does not lead. He's second on the team in tackles for loss at 10.5. He's got 3.5 sacks, 9 pass breakups, 9 QB hurries. Linebackers bring pressure in this defense. Linebackers are really good on this team. Freshman Sammy Brown, really good. Junior Wade Wood is really good. All 3 of those guys are the top 3 tacklers on this team. So they are active. 6'3", 265-pound sophomore edge TJ Parker. I think this guy might be the most impressive player on the defense. Listen to these stats. This is a defensive end, folks. 60 tackles. Leads the team in tackles for loss with 19. 19 tackles for loss. This guy has 11 sacks, 1 pass breakup, and 13 QB hurries. This guy is a menace coming off the edge. Number 3. Watch for number 3, number 0, number 47, and number 17 on Saturday. Those guys will be all over the freaking place. That's the 3 linebackers and Mr. TJ Parker off the edge. 6 foot, 195 pound sophomore nickel Khalil Barnes leads the Tigers in interceptions. He's got 4. He's got 55 tackles, half a tackle for loss, 5 pass breakups, and 3 QB hurries himself. I said they're multiple. I don't have examples of it, but they bring pressure from all over the place. Defensive line looks pretty athletic to me. They average 6'3", 286 pounds. The tackles both sit at 315 pounds. So they're not like those massive anchors that you see sometimes, especially in the SEC. They're big dudes. Edges 250 pounds, 265 pounds, so they got good size. And they move around pretty good. I don't know about the depth. Statistically, here we go. This defense, it just statistically does not pop out at you. It does in a couple spots, but for the most part, you just kind of go, eh. But I think they're really good. Total defense, they give up 364 yards a game, which is 66, so right there in the middle of the country. Passing defense, they give up 214 per game, 61st in the country. Again, kind of just right there in the middle. Rushing defense, they give up 150 yards a game, 73rd in the country, right there in the middle. Scoring defense, they only give up 21 points a game, which is 35th. So they're starting to break into that top third in the country. Sacks, 33 sacks, good for 34th in the country. That's really good. We've seen this Texas offense struggle. The Texas offensive line has struggled a lot, really, in just 2 games. I mean, they gave up 13 of their sacks. And I don't remember how many sacks they have on the season. Let's see. Texas has given up 38 sacks this season. 13 of those came in 2 games. But in SEC play, they've had some problems giving up pressure to the quarterback. Turnovers gained, they got 25, which is good for 8th in the country. So this is a defense that's kind of on par with that Texas defense in sacks and in turnovers, which is a couple of areas where Texas is really good. Third down defense, they give up conversions 35.5% of the time, which is 41st in the country. And then in the red zone, they give up score 81% of the time, which is 51st in the country. So kind of a mixed bag with the defense. I think they're really good in the parts that matter, though. They don't give up a ton of points. They can get after the quarterback, and they can turn the ball over. Probably like them to be a little bit better on third down, but they're not awful. Let's check tape on this defense. Here we're going to see, again, 3 legit linebackers. I want you guys to see them. There's 3 legit linebackers on the field, and they're going to be in a man-free look across the board. It's really odd. I mean, if they put a ton of pressure on cornerbacks with this defense. Look at this. There's your 3 linebackers. There's your man coverage. And you got that one free safety right there that's just rolling with wherever the ball goes. Here we're going to see the same exact look. And this one's going to be a really easy pitch and catch at the top of the screen, which is the wide side of the field. Let me pause this. That safety's cheated out there a little bit, but he's going to roll probably back more into the middle of the field at the snap. But this is a long developing play and something I want you guys to notice. We'll talk about it in a minute. Watch the linebackers. They're not coming. They're playing the spy game a little bit. But safety not even in that picture anymore. So you know that safety just continue to get depth, continue to roll more into the middle of the field. Here we're going to see the same exact look again. I want you to watch at the top of the screen, the short side of the field. You're just going to see a nice little slant fade type route. I call it a slant and fade. I don't know what it's called. It's not really a go. He actually does fade towards the sideline, which is beautiful. The man safety gets beat. The guy in the slot right there just runs right by him. The free safety's playing center field. He can't make it over. Watch this play. He beat him bad. So that man coverage, man, I don't know if Clemson does this all the time or if they just kind of threw it in against SMU to try to minimize that running game of SMU. I I just cannot imagine. Man, if we see this against Clemson, Quinn Ewers might throw for 600 yards. Like if they do this consistently, I I just don't think we're going to see it. But I wanted to show you guys. So if we do see wide receivers running up and down the field all day Saturday, they're probably in this look right here. This is a 3rd and 19 coming up, but this is more like what I think we'll get against Clemson. I think we're going to see a lot of this 3 deep safety look. You see him right there, staggered across the 20-yard line right there. In a normal down and distance, we'll see those linebackers be a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. They'll be more in a run fit type of look, but they'll be in zone coverage too, I think. And if they get into that kind of look, SMU was able to really wear out the middle of the field. They did this quite a bit towards the end of the game when Clemson was trying to, just keep them from hitting big plays. So I guess what I'm saying is if we do see that 3 deep look that we've seen a few times, we saw it against Arkansas a lot, saw it against Missouri, or excuse me, not Missouri, Vanderbilt. If we see that and we can protect, there's going to be room in the middle of the field. Down here on the goal line, they're going to be in a man look. The linebackers are spying the quarterback. Look at both the linebackers right there. Spying the quarterback. We will not get that in this look. Those guys will either be coming or they'll be robbing underneath the outside there. But either way, a timely, accurate pass into the end zone, you can beat this man coverage. This pass play right here looks really good. Watch the top of the screen. It looks a lot better coverage than it actually is. I saw an angle of it from behind the offense. He had quite a bit of space, but, man, from right here, it looks like a beautiful pass. Either way, nice little man. The thing about the goal line is you don't have a ton of room. And you're trying to get guys away from the middle of the field in a lot of cases. You got to get the ball out timely and accurately. And to do that, you got to protect. Quarterback's got to be able to see it. He's got to have time to wait for it. This Clemson defense, man, they can get after the quarterback and they can cause turnovers. This is an interesting look because they're in zone at the bottom half of the screen and they're in man coverage. And this guy is like dead man coverage. I mean, he is all by himself up there at the top of the screen. But watch Parker come off the edge at the top and just beat the left tackle like a redheaded stepchild for a strip sack. I mean, this is gross. This dude is good. Good hands. Strip. Ball. Clemson real quick, like right off the bat. Here's a 3rd down and long look. Look at that. Look at that Arkansas look, man. It's a lot like what Arkansas did with us. This looks like an umbrella of defenders back there. They're rushing 3. They got a big zone behind it. You got your linebackers in that spy look, which, again, we will not look. So that'll be extra guys that really don't have to come to the line of scrimmage. They're just going to camp out in their zones. These guys come after the quarterback, chase him around, get him all antsy, and he makes a really bad pass that gets picked off for the 2nd turnover of the game for SMU. So this Clemson defense, they'll put a lot of pressure on you, get you to make mistakes, and they'll capitalize on them, obviously. Here we're going to have 4 down linemen. Let me pause it. You got 4 down linemen, and I apologize for the fade transition there. It did not work very well. It's covering up some stuff, but what you see there is 4 down linemen, and there's 3 linebackers on the field. You got 0 mugged at the top. He's up on the top at the line of scrimmage. And then you had 2 linebackers kind of split out there towards those trips. The furthest one out, he comes on a blitz. And it makes it look like it's 6. But they drop 0. The guy at the top of the screen, he drops into coverage, picks up that running back out of the backfield. And look at the secondary just lined up at the sticks. SMU quarterback uses his legs, kind of throws one up. They get lucky. We don't have that capability. Against us, this is a sack if we don't protect it, or Quinn doesn't just get rid of it. So when you look at this game, a lot of people look at this game and go, oh, well, SMU almost came back and beat them. Well, SMU's got a completely different wrinkle offensively than we have. And I'm not saying that's bad or good. Just saying it is what it is. I expect this look right here a lot against our 21 personnel. For those of you that don't know, that's 2 tight ends, 1 running back. You're going to see 4 down linemen. You're going to see the 3 linebackers, and I think we might see some man coverage here. I think if we start to line up like this and can run the ball against them, I definitely think they'll get into man coverage. You're going to have that one free safety, and this is a 3rd and short, so that free safety's cheated up big time. Watch how he attacks this run, though. He's coming. Good opportunity for play action. If you get this look, if you've been able to run the football, sometimes you just got to run the football so the team thinks you're going to run the football. I wanted to throw this next look in because we utilize the backs a lot. You're going to see just a little quick play action right there to the running back. And again, I apologize. The fade transitions kind of goof some of this stuff up. I didn't give him enough time to work. But he sort of fakes to that running back there, offset running back. And the linebacker comes up on the run, but he just doesn't follow through in man coverage. Watch how open this guy is in the end zone. Too easy. So like a lot of teams, Clemson's going to play man coverage down in the red zone. You beat man coverage with games, crossing routes, misdirection. That's something Texas could do. I mean, I know Texas is struggling hard in the red zone, but that right there is something they could do. They did it against Texas A&M. This next look looks a whole lot to me like what Georgia did to us in game 1. You got 4 down linemen. You got 2 linebackers on the edge. That's 7 guys at the line of scrimmage. But watch what they do. SMU's going to put a hat on a hat, and they're going to get downhill with the running back. If you can do that, you can bust some pretty big plays in the running game on this look. So this defense, obviously, they can get after the quarterback. It's one of the best in the nation, taking the ball away. We talked about how they give up some yards, but, I mean, they're pretty good at keeping teams off the scoreboard. I think this Texas offensive line, I think they got their work cut out for them this weekend. I mean, it's an active, athletic, decently big defensive line. They're going to bring pressure with the linebackers a lot, I feel like, because there is no threat for Quinn Ewers to go running around on them that much. If this Texas O-line can protect, man, there's definitely plays to be had down the field. I'm really not super impressed with their secondary. I feel like definitely their strength is linebacker and that one edge player. If they do get into that look like Arkansas gave us, that 3-down lineman look with a lot of guys picking it across the backfield, Sark's going to have to run the football. He's going to have to run them out of it. As I said before, I can't imagine we get a ton of man looks, but if we do, they're going to be accompanied by pressure. So the O-line going to have to do a really good job seeing that pressure, recognizing where it's coming from. And not only the O-line, but Quinn Ewers. We talked about Klubnik recognizing where the pressure came from, delivering the ball where the pressure came from. If there is a lot of pressure from the linebackers, the middle of the field is going to be open. Need to be ready to take advantage of that. We will be back on Thursday. We'll have our Trace Otra Games College Football Playoff Edition. We'll do our 4 keys and a prediction for this game. And then we're off to Austin, Texas. Excited about that. If you guys see us, we'll be out and about. If you see us, come say hello. If you see us at the game, I'll probably have some koozies in my pocket. Give you a koozie if I have one. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Won't cost you guys a thing. We sure do appreciate the support. Every one of you guys that follows us, talks to us, we love it, man. I appreciate it. You can email me at horntakespodcast@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, concerns, and criticisms. I love them all. You guys have a good Tuesday and a good rest of the week. Get hooked.